Welcome everybody. Today's presentation, why everybody needs a professional photo manager and what it takes to become this business. Please put your questions in the chat. I leave plenty of time at the end to answer any questions that you have. So, and it's always good to learn from other people and the questions they asked. So think about it, 20 years ago, nobody had ever heard of professional business coaches, right? Or personal trainers or even home organizers. But today they're kind of household concepts. We really believe the same will be true for professional photo organizers because these types of service opportunities continue to grow because people are just too busy and they're looking for help. And a growing number of people are also looking for meaningful work that provides them with flexibility and income growth. And so this has become a perfect match. So the need for professional photo organizers have grown for many reasons. I'm sure many of you could probably put in the chat a few guesses, but the first one being our mobile devices have become the cameras in our hands at all times, right? Resulting in over 1 billion digital photos taken yearly. While our ability to take photos and videos in an instant has accelerated, the technology to help us decide which are worth keeping has not kept pace. There's a saying that the most photographed generation in history is most at risk of losing their visual heritage just because of the sheer volume of photos that we all just take every day. When you ask people how they feel about their photo collection, these are the words you're going to hear over and over again. I'm overwhelmed, I'm frustrated, helpless. Other people know more than I do. I'm not good with technology, all these things that people like, just a huge amount of anxiety, really. In fact, 12 years ago when I started, people would look at me kind of puzzled and skeptical, like, what? You know, who's going to hire you? To now, everybody says, oh my God, I need you. But not only is this a growing field for the too many digital photos, but most people, believe it or not, still have boxes and bins and drawers and photo albums full of printed photos that need to be curated and scanned for the future. And along with those boxes of analog photos, there are family home movies on lots of formats that are no longer accessible. Who has a VCR or camcorder anymore, right? Then there's kids' artwork, old newspaper articles, letters, meaningful memorabilia from the past. All of these things make up the work that many photo managers do for their clients. So today's agenda is I'm going to share the following information: why the work that we do matters, what a professional photo organizer does, who we are, this association, the photo managers, how joining the photo managers will really help you get your business going. It's kind of like providing you with a business in a box. And then again, like I mentioned, plenty of time for Q&A. So let me introduce myself. I'm Kathy Nelson again. I'm the CEO and founder of the Photo Managers. We are a global educational association that offers classes, an annual conference, professional certification, and a very, very supported, engaged community for this growing profession. I'm also the author of 2 books, Photo Organizing Made Easy, Going from Overwhelmed to Overjoyed, and a business roadmap for professional photo organizers, everything you need to start and grow a thriving photo organizing business. So that's kind of my formal intro, my formal bio, but a little bit more about me. Let me tell you about the why organizing photos, I believe, is important and meaningful work. I was the person in my family that always took the photos, that wanted to save the family stories. I would make the photo albums or calendars as gifts, and I'd pore over old albums, fascinated by the people who came before me. And as I've thought about that over the years, I've realized this quote sums up that why perfectly. There have been great societies that did not have the wheel, but no societies that did not tell stories. And this is important if you're thinking about this as a business, as you want to connect with the emotional why around people's photos. Nothing is sexy about photo organizing. But what is really meaningful is this idea that when you get people to really reflect on the why their photos and videos matter so much to them, they're going to talk about our photos tell the stories of our lives, right? They're our connection to our families, to our friends, to the past, and they're a message to the future. But if your photos are completely disorganized and you can't find the photos in the box that you care about because they're lost in a sea of digital photos or in a box, you can't tell the stories that you care about. And people grasp that concept. So people come to photo organizers for help because, well, their photos are a mess, right? They have thousands of photos on their phone and it's not backed up, or maybe they lost their phone and they realize that everything's at risk. They ask this question though, do my kids really care? Are they going to ever really want to look at these photos? They have old home movies they haven't seen in decades. This is increasingly a common issue. They're experiencing floods, fires, tornadoes, hurricanes, hard drive crashes, and realize their photos are at risk of disappearing forever. Oftentimes, sometimes a family member has been diagnosed with dementia or a terminal illness, and suddenly, whoops, those those photos and stories take on a whole nother level of meaning. Uh, there's a graduation coming up, a wedding, a life celebration, and people need to find those photos because they want to make that video slideshow maybe, or those posters, and they realize their photos are a mess. Somebody passes away and a funeral is, at the funeral, what funeral haven't you been to where there's, the posters and photos and things. So there's so many reasons why people come to photo organizers for help. So today, as I go through this process, I want to share two essential takeaways though. One is you don't need to offer all the services I'm going to mention to you or be an expert in everything. That is impossible. And it's okay to start a business even if your own photos aren't organized. So many people tell me they haven't started yet because they're worried about their own photos. And I have a confession to make. I have recently hired one of our members to organize my photos because my son is getting married and I've been too busy growing this organization for the past 12 years. I'm the perfect demographic for hiring a photo organizer. And I don't have any shame in saying that because she can do it a lot faster than I can because I'm busy doing what I do. And so you're going to be busy building a business. It's okay that your photos aren't organized. I just don't want you to let that hold you up. So what are some of the typical jobs that a client can order or hire somebody for? Organizing somebody's printed photos, right? It's easier than you think to organize somebody else's photos. Most people, like I mentioned, have boxes of photos, slides, and negatives. The reason for the organization is that a lot of people in the past have scanned all their photos, like sent them away to those 1 hour, box places, put all your photos in a box and ship it to us and we'll send them all back. Well, all they get back is the same mess recreated digitally that they had originally. So from a best practices perspective, we think you should really organize the photos first so that you're only scanning and paying for the photos that you want digitized that you care about into the future. So a lot of times you can do that for somebody. You can do that by using the family timeline, doing some interviewing, and it's a lot easier than you think. So that's one piece of a project that many members do for their clients. Another really common job that most photo organizers do provide is scanning. It's a great entry point into photo organizing without a lot of overhead. It provides that digital backup copy and helps ensure that family photos will be safe and accessible for future generations. It doesn't require a big investment. It requires some basic equipment, and it's a great entry point. So for a little overhead, you can start making money very quickly if you decide you want to offer scanning. Now, digital photo organizing is one of the fastest growing services our members provide because just how big this problem has become. One of our members, Jordan Babion, loves to say that the average family now has the same number of digital assets a small business did just a few years ago. And so that's that concept again about people losing the access to their photos. They just have so many of them. So a photo organizer comes in and works with their client, and this can be done remotely. We have many members who do this for clients anywhere in the world. In fact, the person who's working with me lives in Minnesota. I live in Connecticut. We've done it all remotely. But what you want to do is you will consolidate everything into one place, help people figure out where all those digital photos are located, create a backup copy right off the bat, and then go in and remove duplicates, add keywords, and then recommend a cloud service or an online gallery. That's a big part of the process that people do. And then from there, there's so many fun things that you can do with photos once you have some kind of organizational process in place, right? You can make photo books, video slideshows, online photo galleries. You can frame photos, wall art, and more. So many of the things that really bring photos back to life for somebody, and they're no longer lost and unavailable to see. And I think the pendulum is swinging a bit where young families realize that printed photo books or photos are much better for their children to view their family photos than looking at their phones or their iPads, especially if they're trying to get the amount of screen time their kids are, we recognize that too much screen time isn't good for kids today. So, and kids love looking at photos. So again, this is kind of a growing need for families to realize that the way that they can have their kids access their photos is much more entertaining by creating books and things like that than, handing over their phone. But like I mentioned, those are just some of the services. There are other services that are growing quite a bit too. Home movie conversion. Most people have old, VCR tapes or camcorder videos that need to be digitized, and so that they can enjoy them into the future. Some of our members talk about the joy their clients have when they hear their parents' voices again for the first time they hadn't heard in 30 years, or that's just captured on those old 8mm films or different things like that. So it's a really powerful experience to unlock those memories again for people. Genealogy research is a big part that's growing. We just did a whole webinar on how to add genealogy services to your business if that's what you're interested in. Some of our members just focus on making video montages for special events, or they focus on large families or just business archives. One of our members is currently working with the Junior Women's League in Miami to help them prepare for their 50th anniversary. So there's so many different places and points of entry into this business. The critical takeaway again, though, was you don't need to offer all those services, because if you're, if you start thinking, wow, I can't do all of that, that's okay. It's okay to start a business, even again, if your own photos aren't organized. So now let's talk about the photo managers. Who are we and why what we do has been an integral to the part of the success of this growing profession. So I mentioned we're a global organization, so we have members throughout the world. We just had our second member joining in Germany. We have members in Australia, the Netherlands, Brazil. We just had our annual conference and 7 countries were represented. And what's amazing about that is these professionals, they all share the same passion, right? A desire to help peoples and businesses curate their photo collections so they can share their stories. So to become a member, you pay an annual membership fee, which is averages out at like $50 a month. It's $175 a quarter, or it's $599 you can pay annually for the year. And in exchange for that, we give you a significant amount of benefits. And I'm going to take you through that, because you might be asking yourself, why am I going to pay somebody, why would I pay that money out? And that's a good question. And we work really hard here every day to make sure that you get great value in being a member of the photo managers. So essentially, we kind of provide you a business in a box, but you won't get a box from us. So since I started this organization over 12 years ago, the goal has always been to give people access to the best training and tools so they don't have to reinvent the wheel and figure out everything for themselves. And we have 2 core value mission statements. One is a rising tide lifts all boats, and we are collaborative, not competitive. And I'm proud to say that foundational principle really rings true in all that we do. And we provide what we call the 5 C's. So everybody needs an acronym, right? So I'm going to take you through these 5 C's to give you a better understanding of what the benefits to membership are. So the first one we talk about is the core foundation, right? When you start a business, you need a core foundation of knowledge, especially if you've never started a business. So our business foundation class, we created this a year and a half ago, when we realized that so many members were joining, but they had never been in business before, and they had all the same questions. And we realized we can really shorten, again, that learning curve by creating this foundational course. So this is included in your membership. It would be $149 if you purchase it. But we take you through, the language that you need to create your business plan. Like why is there such a need? The tools that you're going to need, business startup costs, how to choose the services you're going to offer, how to price yourself and profitability, workflow, how to utilize help through outsourcing, how to plan a customer's journey, how to find clients, and a checklist to make sure you're ready to launch your business. This is a course that you can do in a week. You can do it it's up to you. Everything is self-study and self-guided for you to take it at the pace that you want. You'll also get a copy of my book, Photo Organizing Made Easy. That'll come in the mail within 2 to 3 weeks of your joining. And it's kind of goes through the overall basics of being of photo organizing. We also have business resources that include a new member roadmap, a community presentation. So you can go right out, join today, and next week you could be at your local library or community center offering a presentation called Organizing Your Printed Photos. You would just exchange our photographs for yours. We actually have the PowerPoint done, a video on how to present it. So again, this idea of how can you not have to reinvent the wheel, so you don't have to take the time to do that. We also have our training library. So this is where all the webinars that we've done are there. They're searchable based on topic. For instance, like I mentioned last week, this month we've done adding genealogy services. And then we're also doing how to position yourself as a luxury brand. She talks about why you might want to be raising your prices. So that's an example of just 2 webinars in May. In June, we're doing, I think it's a webinar on insurance, adding insurance. What kind of insurance do you need? So every month, that's all included in your membership. And we survey our members about the topics they care most about. And so we have guest experts who come and talk about these topics for you. And then last of all, our next C is credibility, right? So one, you have to have that core foundation. Number two is you need to be credible. And because when you're dealing with somebody's photos, this is very important, meaningful work. And God forbid you lost somebody's photos or people are worried about that. So we have a strong code of ethics and best practices that we really teach. And we've established a professional certification that is recognized in the industry. This course increases your knowledge and understanding of best practices and industry standards. You can go through the program to be certified over a weekend. It's not arduous. What really takes time is documenting a client project from start to finish, showing us that you have used best practices, submitting that documentation, including a client reference. We check your references. You have an interview with me. And at that point, we turn on your certification. You get listed as a certified pro. People can find you now by our website and you get the badge. So again, people always ask, how long does it take to be certified? We don't have any expectations or goals. Some people do it, within 6 months of joining. Some people, it takes 2 to 3 years. It's, you go at your own pace, depending how invested you are in your business. Another significant C is our community. One member summed it up best this way. So many of us work independently and don't have coworkers to bounce things off of or help desk to call with questions. The photo managers has been all that for me. So as Casey said, doing this can be difficult, but with the photo managers, you're not alone. We have a community of hundreds of other professionals from all walks of life and experience who help one another. They talk to each other quite a bit on this private members only Facebook group. It's like having a 24-hour on-call tech team to help you. Also, upon joining, you'll be introduced to the regional leader in your area who will connect you with other members through monthly Zoom meetings. This has really been growing in popularity. We just started that, I think, just a year ago. At the conference, a lot of people got together. We did their photographs by their regions and things like that. They bring in guest speakers. And again, as I mentioned, you don't have to do all of this yourself. What we tell people, you need to think of yourself as a project manager. And so say if you don't do home movie conversion, you're still going to be able to say, yes, I can help you get your home movies converted, but maybe you'll outsource to one of the members in your region who does that. So you're the general contractor, the project manager, and you're building relationships with other members who do the services that you're not necessarily doing. A great way to know who those people are is by getting involved in your regional group meeting. And again, it's free. They meet once a month and you'll be introduced and welcomed right away. And the other way we continue to do this is we use a really fun platform that's different than Zoom. It's called Remo, and we do something called member huddles. So you actually go to these little tables and you see the little faces there, and you can actually move from table to table. And each month we do a networking meeting where we start with a prompt question and then you go table by table and everybody just answers it, such as, what would be the advice I'd give myself if I was just starting over? Or how do I answer the question, how much will this cost? Or what's your elevator pitch? So again, every month we have these member huddles that you can choose to join if you want to be connected and have this opportunity to chat with other members about topics that they care about. We also do an annual conference. We got to update these slides, Isabel, because these are old now. We just left our Orlando conference 4 weeks ago. We had over 150 members. It was an amazing event. And we are repeating that whole conference virtually starting on Thursday morning. So all the speakers agree to speak twice, always, because we record their breakout sessions during the virtual conference. So as a conference attendee, you have access to all the recordings. So at 11 o'clock, there's 4 breakouts, and you think, I want to attend to all of them. You don't have to worry because we record them and you can go back and watch the ones that you miss. We have amazing keynote speakers. We do a lot of networking. We have all our exhibitors, and I'm going to offer a great opportunity for you to attend this virtual conference if you stay on this call for the next maybe 10, 15 more minutes, because it's rare that we do a meeting like this right before a virtual conference. And I decided that I really wanted to help you engage in that if you're interested. So the next 4, C, is what we call competency. So again, our goal is to increase your competence in all areas of this new profession. And because technology keeps changing, this is a rapidly growing business. The good news is that you get the benefit now, again, of those who have paid the way. We currently have 3 courses that are included in your membership. So this pricing I show here is what it would be if you wanted to purchase it by itself. The first is the building blocks of digital photo organizing. It's a great core course just about what are digital imaging based, is how to diagnose an unhealthy photo system, how to communicate with clients, software to use. So that's a course that you can follow. Again, these are all self-study. We also recently, last summer, launched the Organizing Your Clients Printed Photos. These are taught by members. We hire them to actually pay them to teach these courses. This is Sandra Williams, who's been a longtime member at Infinity Photo Solution, and she takes you through her course that shows you how she takes a client project that's a mess like that, which is not unusual, and turns it into what she shows you here on the screen. Again, this course is included in your membership. And we're working this year on 2 additional courses, probably won't be launching until maybe fourth quarter, but the basics of scanning and the basics of home movie conversion. And at that point, we feel like we'll have kind of really established our core training. We also know that having systems is really important. Systems are standard operating procedures. The more to be successful, to make a good living at this, you're not going to want to have to rethink about every new client project is a new client project, right? You're going to need to have systems in place where you're managing your money, you know what your client communication process is, you're managing the overwhelm, you have a system in place for reviews, referrals. So we hired a business systems expert last year, and she spent every month, she went through 10 different workshops, and those are also available in our training library for you to watch. Now, we also do a new member orientation. I'm going to stop right here and say that for all new members, it's the last Friday of every month. And we have learned to tell everybody, you do not want to watch every course I'm telling you about in your first month. You only will watch the courses as you need them. Otherwise, it's like drinking through a fire hose of information, and you'll get overwhelmed. So we're really going to, we give you this banquet of information, but it's important to eat it in bite-sized pieces. So it's all here for you when you're ready, and more is always coming. But we also want to stress the importance of, learning what you need when you need to learn it, so that you don't feel overwhelmed. And our last C is what we call collaboration, right? The benefits of having, we do every September, it's called Save Your Photos Month. This is we joke that we know we made it with Save Your Photos Month because it's in the lexicon of the Today Show announced last September, hey, today is Save Your Photos Month. They didn't give us credit, which hopefully will change about that, but that's okay because it's out there in the world. And so what is important about that is we provide for you all press releases, PowerPoint presentations, social media graphics, so that you can go out in your community as the guest expert about all around the importance of saving your photos, especially with today's rapidly changing weather patterns and things. This is great. This is a hot topic for news organizations who are looking for, filled information. And this is a great opportunity for you to show up as the guest expert and talk about the importance of saving your photos before a disaster strikes and things. We also have an amazing array of partners who give you significant discounts. And this list is always growing. We actually have a manual that you can actually go through. So for instance, Archival Methods, amazing company out of Rochester, New York. We've had a relationship with them for many, many years. They have a special login page even for members. You get anywhere from 30 to 45% wholesale pricing. So what your client would pay on a full retail, you have a special login place so that you can order these products, and then pass the fee on to your client or keep that for yourself. Nixplay is a really wonderful digital photo frame company. We're working very closely with them in terms of also providing photo organizing services potentially to some of their clients. You can order digital Nixplay frames at 20% discount. Different photo book companies. So it's a very long list. This is just barely a snapshot of just a handful of companies. Because these companies are really invested in getting to know you. You are the feet on the ground in the consumer's home, and these companies are really excited to be in partnership with you. In fact, as part of our conference, our virtual conference in Orlando, we had over 20 of these exhibitors there, and they'll all be joining us again virtually. So that leads me to what I mentioned. So hopefully if you have questions, there's so much more I could tell you, but I like to keep this, based on all our attention spans, to about a half hour. If you join the photo managers, it's $175 a quarter, or you save $100, you can pay $599 annually. But if you join between now and Wednesday at midnight, you can attend the virtual conference for free. So this is a $499 value. You have to join at the full annual member to have access to this. But I just made this decision today when I was putting this presentation together. I thought, why not? You know what? It's an amazing conference. It's coming up, and this is all we're thinking about because we launch at 10 a.m. on Thursday. The good news is if you didn't put aside 3 days to be attending a virtual conference, it's all being recorded at the same time. So even if you dip in and out, but go ahead and go to our, hopefully Isabel will drop in the chat, the conference landing page. You can see the amazing array of breakouts, everything from how to use, Google Analytics to what's new in Apple, the Apple ecosystem, to understanding, privacy issues with clients. There's amazing topics of breakouts that are all taught by professional photo organizers. So it's an amazing event, and this is a great value, but it will go away after, because we start on Thursday. So hopefully some people, if you've been on the fence, you're excited by hearing about that. So Isabel, let me come off, stop sharing and turn back on my video. Let's see, do we have questions that people have? Or I know it takes a minute to think about your questions, but we're here to answer any questions that you might have right now.
Yes, no questions yet, but I will read them as soon as they come in.
Okay.
Oh, we have a great question from Rachel. How will AI be used in the future?
Oh, I know. We have a great keynote presentation by Hans Hartman, who's a major thought leader in the photo industry, called AI Foe or Friend or Foe. Friend or Foe. That's really good. That's Thursday night. But so people ask about AI. Here's what I have to say about AI. I mean, it's crazy right now, right? Chat GPT and all that stuff. I mean, when I hired him in October to do that, Chat GPT wasn't even on anybody's radar screen yet. So, I mean, it is rapidly changing, but in the photo industry, AI is there to help you, right? It's been great with facial tagging, geotagging. It's kind of shortened your workload, but what it can't do, and if I was doing a presentation about that, a lot of times when I do this, when you do a presentation to like the general public, I talk about your photo legacy, and I do it in 2 photos, right? And I show a black and white photo of my husband. He's a baby, and there's 3 siblings in a backseat of an old station wagon, and they used to travel to all lower 48 states when they were little. And then there's a photo next to it of my kids in color holding a sign saying, "We did it, we made it to all lower 48 states." And the point of that is, without AI can't tell you that my family followed a family tradition of doing that. AI just can't tell you. AI could even tell you eventually where that black and white photograph, maybe where that car, what make and model of that car was. It might even know where that photograph was taken, even though we don't have identifying information. But it's never going to tell you the emotional piece behind the story. AI is not going to be able to do that. So we're not really worried about AI at this point. And certainly in terms of the next, 5, 6 years, 10 years with what we're doing in the photo space. I don't know about Chat GPT, and I can't tell you what's going to happen with all that, but certainly that's my answer on the AI piece of it.
We have a question about conference. I can briefly talk about that just because it's about access to the conference. So if you register for the full conference, which is included as a bonus if you join membership between now and Wednesday. So full access to the conference includes lifetime access to the recordings. If you do the snapshot pass, which we're offering for $49, you'll have access to recordings for 4 weeks. So regardless of which option you do, there will be access to recordings. It's just depending on which option determines the length of that access. So either lifetime with the full registration or 4 weeks or a month with the snapshot pass. The next question is, sorry, go ahead, Kathy.
I was going to see Aaron's point about, I'm interested, but I'm underwater right now with building a house and that's okay. Stay on your track, build your house. Don't start a business just because there's a special like that. I know, that's why we don't tend to do these things much, because it can be a little bit of I don't want to impulsive, to do anything impulsively. It's just an opportunity. A gift I could give if you were planning on joining, but don't, stay true to your plan there. Because this training.
I mentioned that briefly in the chat to Aaron. Definitely stay on track with what you're doing now. It sounds like you have a lot going on, and adding this is probably not the best idea for you, but we'll be here And I also, Kathy, if you can talk a little bit about what people might be able to do before they're ready to join. What can people do to get ready so that once they're ready to join and become a member, that they're not necessarily starting from scratch. They sort of have some of that background already done.
Yeah, that's a great question. Good. We just started our YouTube channel maybe 6 months ago, where we have put all our career advice from a pro. Every month I interview different members from every different background. I mean, it's amazing that from retired, part-time. Today we just did an amazing one with these two members. They're partnership members for 11 years. I'd watch some of those just to see. I asked the same 5 questions. How do you find clients? What do you love about what you do? What don't you like about what you do? What work experience that you had from the past helps you in this business? And what advice would you give to somebody just starting out? So I asked those same 5 questions. And so that might be helpful to just, get a bigger picture of it. I also, the book, A Business Roadmap for Professional Photo Organizers, you can get it on Amazon. I think it's $14.99 or whatever. This pretty, we go into a lot of depth here. There's a lot of worksheets and things like that. And that might be a way to, if you want to just really get a better idea. Another thing is I recommend following the social media of some of our members, looking at other people's websites, following, register, make sure that you're getting my Kathy's Picks, which is a Friday newsletter, and just kind of start familiarizing yourself with this profession, and then chat with your family and friends. Ask, hey, I'm thinking about starting a business doing this. What do you think? You might get your first client right off the bat. You might be surprised. And then those naysayers, though, take a deep breath, because there's always the person who can wants to rain on your parade. But we do have proof of concept that many people are doing very, very well in this business, and people really need the services that we provide. So, but it's, I think that's important as well, to ask questions and ask people, how do you feel about your photos? When was the last time you looked at your old home movies? Different things like that.
And can you share a little bit about pricing, how much people charge, whether they charge, hourly, by package, a different way, and how people decide their pricing?
Yeah, that's a good, that was a great question in today's webinar, and they talked about how they've changed over the years. So you will change. You're going to start out one way, and you're going to be, so the willingness to be flexible as you learn and grow, you will be making changes. From an hourly, so you want to analyze what is the average hourly fee a service provider charges where you live, because it's going to vary based on where you live in the US or Europe or different parts of the world. You'll find there's going to be a set price. So what does a professional residential organizer charge? A bookkeeper, a massage therapist, dog trainer. There's going to be, it's going to range most likely anywhere from $55, $60 to a high of $150, $175, like LA, New York, Chicago, right? Those big cities where people pay more. You're going to set your price in that price range, because remember, when you're charging, what you're setting hourly isn't just the amount of time you're doing the work. It's the time you're spent learning. It's the time you're paying yourself for, an attorney doesn't charge what they do just based on the hour they showed up. You're paying for the decades of, law school they went to and the learning that they've done, right? So it's the same kind of idea, and you'll raise your prices as you get more experience and as you go along. Most people do start out. So you want to know your hourly price, though, to set maybe package pricing. And so package pricing is, some people will sell their time in like 4 hours or 8 hours of time at client. I can probably scan this many photos, or going to do this in an 8-hour time block. And then you're going to keep in touch with your client, make sure that they know where you are in the timing process. We do a lot of training on that. And always in November, it's called Profitability Live. It's a 2-day virtual conference where we talk all about money. This year it's focused on Profit First, which is a well-known book, but also we have 5 members who are doing case studies. They're going to share a process with a true client, from the phone call through the estimating, to doing the project, all the way through delivery, how they priced it and how they communicated. And so we do a lot of training on that, because you can learn in a case study, because every client can be a little different. So, but we do know there's a certain amount of things that we know most people come with. So hopefully that answered that question as best I can in a few minutes.
And at what point in the process should someone begin buying equipment? For example, should they start with membership and some courses and then buy the equipment first and then learn how to use it? What's that process, and at what point do you choose to invest in certain scanners?
Yeah, that's a good question as well. Well, the reason we have membership set up as $175 a quarter is that, maybe if depending on your finances and things. So if you know what you're going to do, if you know for sure you're going to offer scanning, then then I would invest in a basic flatbed scanner. The EPS, we always recommend start with the Epson V600 or the V800, about $299. I think last I looked. That's a basic good flatbed scanner. It's going to allow you to do, I think, 6 to 8 photos, and they come in individually, and it also does some slides. It's slow. It's not a speed tool, but you're going to start with the basics because you're going to be learning a lot. And then from there, you're going to upgrade your equipment based on the jobs that you get. So you want to be profitable right from the start. I don't think you should go into debt to be in a business like this. So you want to just, don't go running after every shiny new object, we say. You do not need to take any additional courses other than what we provide, unless you really want to dig into like how to use Lightroom. But you may not be ready you don't need to know how to use Lightroom yet if you haven't gotten a large digital photo organizing client. So I think it's also important to see about who's your first client. I think you should, or if you were going to start with your own photos, as you're going to learn by using your own photos. If you're going to start with your own printed photo collection, then I'd start by getting a basic scanner. If you're going to start with your digital photo collection, then I would start with understanding, getting a good external hard drive to back up, get all your photos backed up into one place. So hopefully that helps to answer that question in terms of the process of how you start. Don't invest in things until you need them. Is an important part of it, in my opinion. I didn't. I started out with that slow scanner. I didn't know any better. There are faster scanners, but it worked for me when I was first starting, and then I added equipment as my business grew.
And does the photo managers provide any resources or information on handling delicate newspaper photos and articles?
Yeah, aren't we doing that? Isn't that the next webinar too with Kate?
Yes, we actually, in about 2 weeks, we have one about archival storage options. So how to store photos, memorabilia for archival purposes.
You would also, our archival message is such a great partner. They have a great help desk. They have great resources. You could call them. And they would also, if you had something unique that you were concerned about, they would literally take your phone call and walk you through the process to make sure. So yeah, we talk a lot about that, and we're passionate about, again, it's all about credibility and making sure that you're following what we call our best practices.
And is the photo managers affiliated with NAPO? How many members are members of NAPO and the photo managers?
I don't know the exact number. We're not affiliated in the sense that they're a completely separate organization, but we have wonderful relationships with NAPO. Many of our members are also residential organizers. Sometimes and I've spoken many times at NAPO. I'll be speaking at the National Association of Senior Move Managers conference which is also kind of a sister organization to NAPO. They're not aligned, but they're similar. A lot of the people overlap with each other. And so that's probably what it is. The residential organizing or NAPO productivity didn't talk about photos when I started this 12 years ago. I remember I showed up at their first conference and everybody was shocked. I mean, it wasn't an issue. So we're just a different organization altogether than NAPO, but many cross memberships for sure.
And a question for those that are interested in going the digital route, just doing digital photo organizing, should photo managers prepare to buy cloud storage for their clients, or who's buying that? And what's the separation there between what you're buying as the professional offering the service and what your client is buying beyond the service that you're offering?
Yeah, you would recommend that your client, you would walk them through that they buy a terabyte or a 2 terabyte external hard drive, and that they're moving. You can do it for them by logging into their computer, or you're teaching them how to move all their photos, downloading them from Google Photos, Dropbox, all the places they are, onto that digital external hard drive. So you're killing kind of two birds with one stone. You're making sure that they have a digital backup copy, because a lot of people aren't backing up their photos. And then you can work from that external hard drive. So you're not putting out any, you're not buying the cloud store. You don't need a lot of cloud storage yourself to be able to store somebody else's photos, or you have them set up a Dropbox account, or, you know, whatever software or whatever photo organizing platform and program that you are most comfortable using, they pay for that, and then you work within their program for them.
And what are the pathways that people go to find clients? What are some ways that people find clients for photo organizing services?
So everything from, so we would recommend that you, gosh, there's so many different ways, but are you in a community with a Facebook group that, you know, people promote their businesses and stuff? That can be a starting place. One of our members that has found most of her clients at her dog park, where she talks about what she does over and over again. Offering to do presentations at local community centers, libraries. You can Google in your zip code, you know, what did they were saying there? You know, there's so many different clubs that are looking for historical societies. They're looking for speakers, right? And this is a great topic. Whenever I do, you know, and we have the presentation already created for you, right? Got photos, need help, or something like that, or overwhelm your photos, you're not alone. I just did that for a senior group. You know, I think we have 350 people registered. So people are interested in this topic, and then that's where you're kind of presenting yourself as the expert in the community. And then people might, oh my God, one of our members just sent a note. She got a great client from that presentation that I did, and you know, she thanked me for, you know, getting our names out there. We do a lot with trying to get the word out there for people, but we can't, you know, you're still working within your own community. Referrals, networking, and then partnering with other similar like businesses. So residential organizers, NAPO members who don't offer photo organizing services, senior people that work with seniors that are trying to downsizing seniors, they might be interested in, they don't deal with the photos, but you can form a partnership with them. Professional photographers. So there's just so many different ways that once you get your name and information out there, then people know to look for you when that time has come. Funeral homes, I mean, people have tried that. Sometimes it's a good source, sometimes it's not, you know, that you can, sometimes they do that in-house, but we have one member she calls her sister is a birth doula, and she's an end-of-life doula. And she's added gathering stories and doing photo albums for end-of-life clients. I mean, so there's just all sorts. One woman focuses only on people with pets, and she's partnered with local veterinary organizations, because people love their pets, and they take lots of photos of their pets. And so again, it's kind of finding the niche and area that you're most interested in. And you might not know that for a while.
And how do photo organizers organize photos when they don't know the people that are in the photos?
You'd be surprised, you know. So we actually use, we have training on that. People learn, you create a family timeline with the client. So you send them a timeline, and it's not really a mystery of what people take. You'd be shocked. I mean, we really know what people take photos of. You open up those boxes, and it's going to be holidays, whether it's Christmas or Hanukkah, it's going to be Thanksgiving, 4th of July. Maybe they always went to the Cape for vacation, or they went to the mountains. And then, you know, Mary married Steve, and they had 2 kids, Bobby and Alice, and you know what years they were born. And then you realize that, you know, Sue had a brother, because they're always with their cousins. And it's really not that hard to figure out who people are in the photos. A lot of our members joke that they know better who the kids are and what age they are in the photo collection when they return it than the parents do, because they've been looking at it so much. So you have to like puzzle making in a way if you get into that deep level of printed photo organizing. But there are ways to do that, again, using you know, a timeline, some photos like on the wall, so that you kind of remember who's who, and then a big table in front, and then you're starting to do that process, and you can really move through that fairly quickly.
And Kelly says that she's in the situation that you mentioned, wanting to learn about being an organizer as she works through her own photos. What would be the best course to purchase for her needs at this point? She's not ready for learning the business aspects yet.
Do you have both digital and printed, or just one? Just if you have both, I would send her to the Academy and the bundle that we have, which is both printed and digital photo organizing.
I'll put that in the chat now.
Yeah, you have everything, like most people. Yeah, I would start there.
Yeah, the bundle is great. There's also Kathy's book, Photo Organizing Made Easy, going
Yep.
from overwhelmed to overjoyed.
And one tip of advice though, when you're doing your own photos, first of all, you're caught up in the emotions, which is different than you will with the client. So you're going to take you longer because you're going to be going down memory lane. And so that can be hard, but document the process. So keep track of how long it takes, how many, okay, I'm opening up a magnetic blue album that was from, 1995 to 1997. And then count, oh, in this magnetic album of this type, there are, 175 photos, and so you're going to, so that way there, if you get a client with an album that looked like that, you already know from your documentation, oh, I'm going to estimate this photo album has 175 photos in it. So think in terms differently than when it's, again, like I would never do that if I was just doing my own photos. But if you're looking at this as a business and you're using your photos as a touch point, think of it like you don't know those people in the photos. It's brand new. And what information do you need to know to be able to price it, to estimate how long it takes, and to then document that so you don't have to do it all over again when you get your first client. That's my number one advice on that process.
I think we don't have any more questions. I think that was everything. If I missed anything. Oh, so Kirsten's looking for a career change. Do you find photo organizers are able to do this as a full-time job?
Yeah, we do have members. So we have everything from what we call, part-time members, second at career, full-time members, start part-time, go full-time, start full-time, go part-time. But we do have quite a few members that do this full-time as a side gig at the moment. And then I'm thinking right off like Stephanie Heller, who it really wants to go full-time. She's so busy, but it's still needing to make enough money yet before she can do that. So we definitely have people that do both. And in terms of income, nobody's asked this, but I can answer this too. We just surveyed people for the first time. I joke, I wish I was a better survey writer. Next time we do it, we'll ask better questions than I did, and we'll get a professional to write it. But we had 99 members just answered. We only asked them one time, so it's not a great, but it's just a snapshot. The average in the first year, 2 years, people were reporting learning as a low of 5,000 to a high of 36,000, which might be a little bit of an anomaly. They must have gotten a couple of really big jobs, but I'd say, $5,000 to $10,000, $15,000 is what most people seem to report in their first year, 18 months, because they're starting a lot of things and learning. Their third to fifth year, I think most people reporting anywhere from 35 to 55,000. 5 to 7, 8 years, people were more up in the 60, 70, and we had 14 of those 99 members earning over 6 figures. What changes is that once you're getting into that 55, 60 plus, you're adding a subcontractor or an employee of some sort, because you can't duplicate your efforts to that level. And so if you're looking to have a business, and more members are moving to offsite where they're taking office space. We do a lot of training on HR, how to hire subcontractors, because this has been a growing need. And when we started out, we didn't expect that, but so members are all learning together and talking a lot about the process. But you will want to hire somebody who you pay an hourly fee or something, and because you're going to have enough. You can't take in enough business. You don't have the time yourself to do that amount of business to earn that amount, but it's just one person. So. And that's exciting, and it's all part of the growth process. Everybody starts out knowing nothing, and then you grow as a business owner. This is really a true entrepreneurship. It's true business growth. Or you just stay at a small level because that's all you want. You want one client a month or that's fine too. You fit right into this organization, whichever place you want to be on the spectrum. We have members from A to Z, and all are welcome. And at the end of the day, I'll just end with this. I always want to stress this, to go back to that why. Why does this matter? Because really helping people save their family stories and tell their stories matters. And it's meaningful work. People care deeply about their photos. You'll get to know their families. You're going to cry. They're going to cry when you give them back their project. I mean, it's a very emotional business, and it brings a lot of joy to people's lives. So I just, that's an important piece of it, to remember that what you're doing is, people are welcoming you into their lives in a way that very few other professionals enter, because photos really are personal. And so I hope that leaves you feeling inspired or excited, or maybe terrified and you think, maybe this isn't for me. So thank you for your time, everybody. You can always reach out and set up a call with me. You can email support at the photo managers. We're happy to answer any questions. And we'd be thrilled to welcome you to the photo managers if it's a good fit for you.